get your hand out? Where's Jackson? Where's Jackson? Jackson? Yes, Jackson. Right here.
Good morning. I think we're ready to keep going. Can I check with our live stream? All right.
We're good. Good morning. I left my glasses. Larger print today. Good morning. Stacey Davis Gates, President, Chicago Teachers Union. Last night, our 65-member big bargaining team, a constituency that represents elementary, high school teachers, middle school teachers, clinicians, social workers, nurses, teachers assistants, school clerks, many more job titles. They got together yesterday. They reviewed the package of proposals that we received from the Chicago Public Schools late last week, and they took a vote. And that vote was to recommend that package as a tentative agreement to our executive board. Thereafter, our executive board considered the tentative agreement and agreed that it should be sent to our House of Delegates. These votes were unanimous. Beyond that, tomorrow, our delegates will be in a meeting where they will engage with the document. They will inquire. They will say yay and they will say nay. And we will move to the next phase of this process. This process has been anchored by the people at this table and many more. This has truly been a demonstration of resilience, of clarity and focus on what's important. Our city's young people deserve everything and then some. In fact, they are owed reparations. This contract does a bit of addressing all of the needs that they have. There are large investments in sports and fine arts in this contract. What that does is that it tells you that the school experience has to be a complete and well-funded experience. It isn't just math and reading. It is also art. It is also band and orchestra. It is also flag football. It is also cheerleading. It is also soccer and basketball. This city can do a lot when it is clearly connected to the community. We were able to negotiate with families on the front lines of Chicago to create opportunity for our school communities to get the type of renovation and rehab, to make sure that lead is taken out. Those things are negotiated in this contract. We also created an article in this contract that seeks to address our unhoused students and their needs. It puts the city on the hook for investments to make sure that families get housing. Our collective bargaining agreement is a force field. And in a national context, thank God for this tentative agreement. in that way because it provides academic freedoms that helps history, the history that is both liberatory in this country and necessary to be told and dimensioned. It helps protect our history teachers' ability to do that. That is very important. It also gives women better health care, especially childbearing women. What it does is it creates opportunities for them to become mothers. It also presents opportunities for them to not have to explain to doctors or get a note from their doctors to access abortion care. This contract is going to speak to the needs of the women, the overwhelming majority of us who do this work, and both their work as teachers and their needs as workers and employees. That's important. It is also going to speak to their needs as teachers who need a lower class size to offer specialized instruction to students. It's also going to speak to their needs as leaders in their school community because it creates opportunities for them to have real collaboration and agency in creating curricular decisions and making sure that the contract is implemented inside the school community. This document gives our educators, our paraprofessionals, our clinicians an opportunity to be co-producers of a better school day in Chicago, a better funded school day in Chicago, a better staff day in Chicago. That is for the impact of our students. So this is what we're going to do here a bit today. We're going to give you some top line understanding of this particular contract because this contract, as was bargained in the front yard of Chicago, is not going to be unpacked and understood in the front line of Chicago as well. Vice President Jackson Potter, Deputy General Counsel Thad Goodchild, and the director of our grievance department, the largest department in our union, responsible for the implementation and enforcement of this contract, Zedra Foster, are going to provide you with the top lines, and then we're going to take a step back and allow you to listen to our rank and file members who bargained this contract, lay out some of the detail, and then we'll take some questions. Take it away, you all.
Good morning. My name is Thad Goodchild. I'm Deputy General Counsel for the Chicago Teachers Union. This agreement is the product of 15 years of struggle. In collective bargaining, there is no total victory. We were always clear-eyed. We weren't going to be able to fix, in this contract, in one contract, every problem facing the Chicago public schools, especially problems that have developed across generations of disinvestment and segregation. I started working at CTU in January of 2012, 9 months before the 2012 strike. Karen Lewis always used to talk about how each fight gets you to the next plateau, so you go into the subsequent fight from the highest ground possible. And we feel pretty good about the plateau this contract will put students, educators, families, and the school district on for the years ahead. If this tentative agreement is approved, we think it will be an historic achievement for CPS students, parents, educators, and all of the school district stakeholders. Amongst the scores of transformational improvements, it will make investments in supports for special education students, bilingual students, and students experiencing housing insecurity. It will expand sports programming and libraries across the district. It will expand career and technical education opportunities, access to fine arts, and lower class sizes. It will protect LGBTQIA+ students and staff, and make investments in sustainable green technology for school buildings, and protect the academic freedom of CPS educators in the face of attacks on public education from the new administration in Washington, D.C. And it will bring long overdue changes to compensation and teacher evaluation that will provide for more fairness and equity for CPS educators. We couldn't be prouder of our members in every corner of this city. and the decades of blood, sweat, and tears they've put in Chicago Public Schools, and the transformation that is coming out of their years of sacrifice.
Good morning. My name is Zedra Foster. I'm the director of the Grievance Department here at the Chicago Teachers Union. And I would start by saying that this contract has been a long time coming. It represents the culminating work of thousands of rank and file members across the city who have been committed to this process going back to over a year ago. We recognize that this one contract cannot fix all of the problems of disinvestment in this contract cycle, but we believe that this TA, if it's approved, it will set the district on the path towards transformation. We've been able to secure a lot of advancements for our students that we're very proud of. We expect to have nearly 100 librarians over the course of this contract. We are adding 400 teacher assistants, 300 counseling positions, the creation of American Sign Language substitute pool, 24 network fine art positions. We've been able to reduce class size levels across all grade levels. And so this is a significant advancement. Things that we have been dedicated to throughout this process was to transform the Chicago Public Schools, and we believe that these advancements that we will be presenting to our House of Delegates tomorrow will set us on the path to do that. Thank you.
Good morning. Jackson Potter, Vice President, Chicago Teachers Union. I just want to say, as a white history teacher, it was critical, the mentorship I received at Englewood High School, where I met some of the amazing people here today, as an educator, to have veteran black teachers show me the ropes. And this contract protects people who have been harmed by an evaluation system that has shown disparate impacts and seen many black educators lose positions over the last 20 years due to school closures, but also draconian evaluation process. And what this will do is the 20% of schools with the greatest disparities will see the most resources and support when it comes to mentorship, when it comes to review, to ensure that black educators are supported and retained in this system that has done so much to push them out. I would also like to suggest that we are reverse engineering an era of privatization that has also done great damage to our school communities. This is the antithesis of DOGE. We are bringing back union jobs that cost less and provide greater services and support to our schools, such as technology coordinators. The district has for far too long relied on outside vendors that charged, really usurious rates to provide basic functions for our schools. That will now be brought in-house. There will be nearly 70 of these positions centrally funded to provide that support to school communities. In an era of digital communication, we absolutely need that. So very proud of some of those different features.
We're going to move to Dr. Castro.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Diane Castro, and I am a bilingual preschool teacher. I am chair of the Early Childhood Committee and a member of the Big Bargaining Team. I'm here today to discuss some of our key wins from the lens of an early childhood and elementary school teacher. As the daughter of a former paraprofessional and bilingual kindergarten teacher, I'm proud to discuss some of these wins through the lens of early childhood. In addition to being an educator, I'm also a parent. This tentative agreement provides hope to me in all of these identities. For far too long, our classrooms have been overcrowded and under-resourced. Our educators have done the best to make sure that our students have access to quality education, and sometimes doing your best is just not enough when you're in a kindergarten classroom with 40 students in front of you. This tentative agreement now provides class limits and relief as never before. Our kindergarten classrooms have a limit of 25 with relief at 23. It is remarkable to me, as both former CPS student and the daughter of a kindergarten teacher, that we now have paraprofessionals in kindergarten classrooms due to our collective bargaining. Every grade level will see some sort of relief. Research has long shown that students learn better when their environment is appropriate. Class size is one of the ways that we can make sure that the environment is appropriate for them. We also know that these class sizes will be manageable because our language around staffing. Not only will we see an increase in paraprofessionals, we will also see a return of librarians into CPS. I am elated that our students, that my children, will have access to a library. They will learn the function and the resources made available to them. This was a cornerstone of my own upbringing. Our students will have more access to the arts, to sports, and world languages. This matters to me because these are the things that I want for my own children. Our children will have access to counselors and social workers. In this day and age, addressing mental health for our educators, for our students, is more important than ever, and we will get this to them through our staffing wins. Our students do not have to accept that they do not deserve what their counterparts across the city receive. We are showing them with this tentative agreement that they too deserve access to a robust education. Finally, I want to take a moment to discuss some of the bilingual wins. As a bilingual educator, I take solace in knowing that we now have language that will continue to expand our pool of bilingual educators. This district has promised to invest in bilingual education by investing in a pipeline for more bilingual educators. Language that provides relief to our English language program teachers. The federal government has made moves to do away with diversity, equity, and inclusion. They want English to be the national language. This tentative agreement makes sure that not only do we provide an education to students that is culturally relevant, but that we also embrace their language, their culture, their identities, and everything about them. We will not reduce them. That's what this tentative agreement ensures. Again, I'm not only an educator, I am a parent. This tentative agreement provides me hope that my own children will be provided and afforded an education that is better than what I had as a CPS student. And I think that this tentative agreement is what every parent wants for their children. Ms. Pittman.
Good morning. My name is Sylvelia Pittman. It's spelled Sylvelia. And I'm going to talk to you about the prep time. I've been an educator in CPS for the last 23 years, and I've been teaching in a disinvested community for the last 19 years. So with this agreement, this attentive agreement is phenomenal because it is exactly what we've been saying from the start. We've been wanting a partnership with our administrators. We've been wanting to be able to make sure that our students receive the services that they need. And with us receiving additional prep time, that gives us the opportunity to meet the needs of the whole child, not just looking at them intellectually, but making sure that their social and their emotional needs are being met, making sure that they can collaborate with each other, making sure that they know how to do team building. That gives them the opportunity when the teachers are on prep, they're collaborating about what the students' needs are, but our students are in different classes now where their SEL needs are being met. They'll be able to go to more classes than just gym, health. They'll be able to do drama, and dance, music. These are the things that with the additional prep time, we will be able to do. And it does not take away from instructional time. It's just gonna look a little different. Our children learn in every class that they go to. So that is instructional time. It does not have to be just reading and math, science, and social studies. They learn how to count when they're in music. They learn how to keep a beat. They have to know the 8 count, 4 count. You even have to know how many counts are for musical notes. All of that is mathematics. So therefore, instructional time will not be wasted. They will be gaining more because now they're going to be learning different vocabulary. They're going to be exposed to more. And this gives our educators the opportunity to meet with one another, to have those conversations about the concerns of if they need specialized services, if they need an IEP, or do they need someone that's in the building to say, hey, can I come and talk to you? So this gives us the opportunity to meet those when we're doing those MTSS meetings. Teachers will be able to come to those meetings and collaborate. They won't have to wait till the end of the day or somebody call them on the phone and say, hey, I forgot. Such and such, you said that you needed to talk to me about a student. Well, this gives us that time to be able to say, on this day, we're gonna talk about Johnny, or we're gonna talk about Susie. And it gives everybody that time to be able to prepare what they need to say and know what it is that these students need. So when we're looking at prep time, it's not just for teachers just to not be in front of students. We're always working. It even gives us the opportunity to collaborate with our parents, to be able to get our parents to come in, because that's another area that we need, parent involvement. But if I never get the opportunity to call a parent, how can I collaborate with them? How do they know what's really going on with their student? And they need to see us, they need to hear from us more than 2 times out the year, which is on report card pickup, and that's just twice out of the year. So we need a partnership with our parents. And this is what with this agreement, this is what it allows us to do. Then with the academic freedom, I am elated because I have taught social studies and I've taught math. And the way that they are changing up the history and don't want the real history to be told, this gives us the opportunity to look at different curriculums, to even give our students the different books so that they can actually learn about who they are. It's important for a child to know where they come from, so it helps them to know where they can go. And that is what they really need.
Thank you, Ms. Pittman. The 4 count and the 8 count. Heard, definitely heard. You know, we often talk a lot about our connectedness and coalition work with the community. One of the things that has been most gratifying in this moment is to watch Diet High School basketball team, the boys, win the state championship. And it's because of how they got there. Rahm Emanuel and all of his monstrosity in this city closed lots of schools on the south side and the west side, and he closed Diet. It was the courage of grandparents, of parents, of organizers, of teachers that went on a hunger strike for over a month to get that school open. And then we were charged with, in that coalition, of taking the needs of that school community to the negotiating table back in 2016. And in 2016, when Karen Lewis was the president of this union and Jesse Sharkey was the vice president, they won 20 sustainable community schools. And Diet is one of those 20 sustainable schools. And when you listen to the coaches and the teachers and the admin, but most importantly, the young people who attend that school, they talk about the investment. And investment and opportunity kind of go together. And we enshrine that in this contract. The Chicago Public Schools cannot go back to student-based budgeting. That both helps school communities stabilize, and it ensures that money is feeding into the things that they need in order to resource it. That's important, especially as you expand sustainable community schools. We now have 70 of those by the end of this contract. That is significant. And so Erlene Braggs, one of our parents, she's going to give us some understanding of how she was engaged in this contract process.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Erlene Braggs, and I am a parent of students at Drake Elementary School. I'm also the parent coordinator for Drake Elementary School. The expansion of SES and the major impact it will have on communities will be amazing. Let's look at Diet, like she said. They are now state and academic champions because parents and community stood together to fight for it to stay open. That fight included a 34-day hunger strike with some amazing people that are still fighting for this work. Irene Robinson, who now has her own organization, Women and Mothers of Multiple Colors. Jeanette Taylor, who's now the alderwoman of the 20th Ward. G2 Brown, who's now a part of the newly elected school board. Reverend Jones, who pastors Mount Carmel Missionary Baptist Church. We're glad to have a teacher's contract, but it shouldn't take all of that. For the past 11 months, there has been a war of acronyms, CTU versus CPS, the mayor's office, etc. It doesn't seem to be about real people, but this is about real people, real students, and real families. The expansion of SCS will make a big difference in our Black and brown communities. Smaller class sizes, free field trips for the families that couldn't afford to send their children on a field trip, summer programs, restorative justice practices, etc. Sustainable community schools brings togetherness to our communities. It brings about parent involvement in our schools, academic growth to our students and our schools' academic achievements. It also brings resources for students, parents, and communities. This may not have made the front page of the Sun-Times or may not seem like a big deal, but it will make 1,000% difference in our schools and our communities. Thank you.
Now we want to pass the microphone to Ms. Ayala, another one of our parents who's having quite the experience in the Chicago Public Schools and has used her voice to shape this collective bargaining process.
Thank you, Stacy.
Say and spell.
Oh, say and spell it? Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Emily Ayala, Emily-Ayala. I prefer to go by Emmy, E-M-M-Y. I am the daughter of 2 immigrant CPS graduates, a CPS alum myself, and a mother of the next generation, a CPS pre-K student at Zedlowski Elementary School in the far southeast side. I am also a staff member at the Southeast Environmental Task Force, which is a community organization centered around environmental justice. I am a proud community member and a proud community partner who has been joining the CTU in support of public bargaining for healthy green schools. I am here this morning as a CTU partner, as an active resident of my East Side neighborhood, and as a mom to celebrate the critical improvements that CTU has achieved in this tentative agreement with CPS. I know that it will not only have an impact on my child, but also all of our children throughout CPS. I spoke out last month at the CPS Board of Education meeting to advocate for smaller class sizes and fair wages and salaries for teachers. I was so overjoyed when I got the call yesterday to learn about some major victories that have been taking place with this negotiation, not only for our teachers and staff, but for our students, for my student. I want to highlight 4 of my favorite agreements added to this historic contract that I know will benefit my child, and again, emphasis on everyone's children. CTU's contract will create smaller class sizes for every grade level. As a mom, my child has special needs, so this one-on-one quality time is so critical, it's so important. So not only will my student and certain students within certain grades and certain ranges have this access to their teachers, but all of our students will. So not only are we getting that one-on-one specialized time for our special needs students, for our babies who are learning their ABCs, we're also getting it across all grades. So even our seniors are able to get quality time to learn how to apply for colleges, learn about trades, having this like very important engagement with the adults in their lives that they're learning from day in and day out as they're entering this new phase of college life and beyond. As a first generation Mexican American, another major win for me personally is the continuation of sanctuary school procedures put in place to protect immigrant students and their families, to ensure the safety of all students and families in our schools. As a member of a community of color, as a person of color, a woman of color, and as people of color in this space, we know that the most important thing that we have in common is our humanity and our ability to love and protect each other.
That's right.
With the ever-growing uncertainty of this political climate that we're in right now, my school in my predominantly Latino neighborhood has seen a very, very drastic, sharp decline in attendance. And this is due very directly to the ongoing threats of deportation in our community. My community itself has seen several unlabeled, unmarked vehicles and presence in our community. So knowing that our students have a safe space to go and have no fear and not have to be distracted by these things in their space to learn is so critical and important to me. Again, especially as someone who's first generation, this is crucial times. It's very critical times right now. So these protections are so important, and it's a huge win to me. Additionally, CTU agreements are doubling the number of librarians and libraries in our school, which is fantastic. Currently, my school has a library, but no librarian. So the usability of our library is low. It's not where it could be. And because of this portion of the agreement, this will allow more children to develop a love for reading, a love for space in their communities to learn and engage and be safe. Again, the safety and comfortability and happiness of students is like what I'm focusing on over and over again. And finally, I want other CPS parents and community members to know that the Chicago Teachers Union won their first ever Climate Justice and Green Schools Agreement, which will help ensure that all CPS students learn in schools that are healthy, safe, modern, revamped. This is the first time ever that a CPS contract negotiation includes environmental language that focuses on clean and green schools. This is a big deal. This is a super big deal. As some of us who are people of color may know, who have gone to schools in community of color, we've seen it all. We have been exposed to so many toxins and hazards and unsafe conditions. As a CPS alum myself, from a community of color, I've seen it all. So this is a huge win for me, and also as an advocate for environmental justice in predominantly Black, brown, minority communities, this is a huge deal for all of us, for the safety and health of ourselves and for our next generations. So I just want to say thank you to the Teachers Union, to Stacy, Jackson, everybody in this space for fighting for my son's future, for the future of all of our children, for the future of all of Chicago, and not just for this current generation, for all generations to come. It's been such an honor to collaborate with you guys. It's been amazing. So I'm very excited to see where we go from here, what comes next. That was the end of my speech, but thank you. Thank you guys.
Thanks a lot. You know, it's been so much noise around this contract negotiation, and much of it has been very nasty. It's okay to listen to people express appreciation and gratitude sometimes. Our members deserve that, in fact, and so never apologize for appreciating other people's commitments. And I do want to lift that up a lot. Our members have been working without a contract this entire school year, and they do the work of this city because they love the children in this city, and we get to put some respect on all of their names. We do. We get to appreciate them for the contributions that they make at the bargaining table, the contributions that they already made on picket lines, the contributions that they make every single day in those classrooms, in those school communities, making ends meet and loving on people. Thank you, Chicago's educators. We love and appreciate you. It is also important to note that this is a collective bargaining agreement, and so we had to engage with the Chicago Public Schools on this. And there was a lot said about a lot of things. Chicago is in a different type of space right now with the mayor who is a middle school teacher that sends his children to the Chicago Public Schools. There's a refrain that you've heard from everyone on this panel, their parents. They send their kids to the public schools, they're graduates of the public schools. They live in the city, they are deeply invested. This group project is from the space of working people who need the public good. That's what's happening. That's why it feels different. We're not closing schools. We're not giving money to the oligarchy and the elite of this city. We are, quite frankly, resourcing the people who have been deprived of it for generations. That's why settling a contract that rebuilds libraries in 2025 is bittersweet. Don't ever get it twisted. It should be a school library and a librarian in every school right now in this city. Shame on us for having to have a contract negotiation to enshrine only almost 100 of them. But that doesn't mean that that stops here at our negotiating table. In fact, you have an elected school board now. Make them accountable for expediting the process of getting school communities libraries and librarians. See, the conversations that we're having around that school board right now are misplaced. I need to know that they're gonna make sure that my daughters have what they need in their public schools today. And that's gonna require revenue in which to do it. The right wing is gonna have a field day with this contract because it does everything that they don't want us to do. It educates immigrant children, ooh. It educates black children, double ooh, right? It is doing the thing that they are working so hard to dismantle. Let me tell you what it also does. It provides protections and supports for special education children. And it is going to make it safe for all of our students, LGBTQIA+, to be inside of our school communities too. So they're gonna have a field day kicking teachers for caring about children and their school environments. They're gonna have a field day kicking this union for making sure that we do our part to make this earth more sustainable for future generations. The right wing is wrong. They're very wrong about this. In fact, this contract doesn't do enough. It doesn't do enough. And so what we're gonna do is say this. The CEO spent a lot of time marginalizing our table. Very early, Jen Johnson, who was the deputy mayor of education, there was an anonymous ethics complaint, and then there was an ethics ruling that removed her expertise from the table. That was number one. Then number two, the CEO put forth an op-ed in one of the tabloids in which he declared that the mayor wasn't his boss. And then got a temporary restraining order to exclude the Board of Education from the bargaining table. This entire contract has been negotiated under those circumstances in the front line of Chicago, not in the back room. And let me tell you also, no boy did it for us girls. No boy did it for us girls. Our union, 80% women, negotiated a contract in the front line of Chicago in an environment where the mayor was helpful and supportive and an amplifier, in an environment where parents understood that we have your children's back, and quite frankly, we have your back too. That's what we saw demonstrated at a school on the South Side, and we see it every day. So, not a perfect contract, because this ain't a perfect school district, in an imperfect city, in an imperfect country. And it is taking steps in the direction to actually provide what people deserve. We'll take your questions.
Thank you. And we have a very full room, so we're gonna take 3 questions at once, and then we'll start to answer those. So, questions? Yes.
I'm just wondering, the Chicago Public Schools has repeatedly said that they did not have funding, that it simply did not exist for this contract. Can you guys talk about where this funding for this?
What did you say again?
I said Chicago Public Schools has repeatedly said that they...
No, they haven't. I have to contest that. I do need people to also understand that I'm a parent. That's actually not what has been said at all. In fact, what has been said is quite different than anything that's been said about a contract negotiation. If you look at the press statements released by the Chicago Public Schools, and a quote from Pedro Martinez, he said that this is a contract that they can afford, and that he would not have agreed to this contract if he couldn't afford it. So that's actually very opposite of what they've said.
Well, that's not, you didn't let me finish. What I was saying was they said in the past that they didn't have the funding, or that the money did not exist for this, and now we have an agreement. So where is this funding coming from?
The CEO of the Chicago Public Schools, who is the former CFO of the Chicago Public Schools, said in a statement released to everyone last night that he agreed to a contract that the Chicago Public Schools can pay for. That was the latest statement from our CEO.
Okay, and do you guys know where that funding is going to be coming from?
We don't administer the school district. We bargain contracts with the school district. And in the contract that we bargain with the school district, we have set up legislative partnerships to work with them to go to Springfield to make sure that we create the environment to get the evidence-based funding formula fully funded, and to also work on initiatives to create revenue streams in this city locally as well. As you know, the mayor of Chicago provided the school district with the largest TIF surplus ever released to the Chicago Public Schools. So we feel very confident that we have people in City Hall, because you know they have to vote on this. So there was a vote of the City Council as well. So we both have the City Council and we have the Mayor's Office. They both believe that TIF surplus should go to our school communities and be supported. So we think that we have a good coalition of partners that will help us win the necessary funding. This has really been an interesting negotiation where we don't have people screaming that they cannot pay for it. In fact, very different. If you go back to the fact finders report that was released, I don't know, at some point during this negotiation. In the fact finders report, they said that the budget, the finances of the Chicago Public Schools are remarkably different than the finances that were pervasive in contract negotiations in 12 and 16 and 19. Next question, please.
This contract has so many hard-fought wins, but you originally proposed 13,900 staff and higher raises. What made you meet the district at this moment halfway?
Collective bargaining is a process under which you come to a conclusion together. One of the things that people don't really understand about this process is that our members are in the school communities, and so they have a better pulse on most everything. That's why it's important to do it with them. And so the ways in which we go back and forth in terms of compromise are, one, is rooted in the reality of what teachers must have in priority, what students need in priority. It also is a process under which we take great pains to push the district to think about their priorities and their values different from what they thought formerly. That's why, like, the Sustainable Community School model is very important, because that model provides a space where the teacher, the administrator, the parent, the student, the community organization, they create the priorities together that enable the contract to work the best, right? You heard Ms. Bragg say very clearly, it's not just sustainable community schools, it's sustainable community schools, and it's the sports infusion, and it's the smaller class size. It's how you connect all of the component parts of this contract that help to create the environment that makes sense. You feel like you want something?
Given that it's not that economically different from what CPS proposed to.
Oh, no, it's very economically different, ideologically different, practically different. That's what losers say, is that it wasn't different, because they're only looking at the one thing. See, teachers have to look at the whole board. We are bargaining a contract to get us to a plateau of where we are stronger to get the next set of things. If you go back to 2019, the conversation around prep time was reductive and offensive. Now in 2025, we're having a discussion that is rooted in how do you create and prepare instruction that helps to provide the school community students with what they need best. So it also gives us an opportunity to organize and educate people over what school looks like and what people need. We don't just bargain for money for ourselves. We bargain for school communities that should have. Again, rebuilding a school library system and a collective bargaining agreement should be embarrassing to the district. It should be. And sadly, it isn't. So the bargaining process creates situations where we do deprioritize some of the things that may be most important to our clinicians in order to prioritize the need of the student, school libraries, and librarians.
I'm librarians. The district is saying that what their intention is to train other existing staff, subsidize them to go get library certifications, and not necessarily hire 90 new librarian positions or add 90 new positions. Is that your understanding? Are you confident that there will be 90 positions open at the end of these 3 years? And are you worried that this could create some difficult decisions between an art teacher, a music teacher, and a librarian?
We have very clear bargaining notes on this. It is not vague or opaque. It is 90 in addition to what currently is in place in terms of librarians, which will result in a doubling of school librarians and libraries. So I don't know where they're misinterpreting it, if there's something they don't understand about what they agreed to, but that is very clear and obvious.
90 new librarian positions, but it could mean that some schools are taking a teacher in a different position and shifting them to a librarian. So
well, yeah, that happens. I mean, teachers get new certifications, become counselors, they become speech pathologists, they can become, instructional support leaders. So that's not unusual in the school community to gain another endorsement, level of licensure, and move into a new position.
What I'm asking is, instead of the librarians, coming in new on top of existing school staff, there could be shifts happening. Are you worried that some schools will have difficult decisions moving from one place and adding a librarian?
I think we have sufficient language to protect that whatever workloads are created have to be balanced, and any new additional responsibilities will be reduced from the old ones, so that you're not seeing people doing 2 jobs in one position.
Good? Okay. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, that wraps up the press conference from the Chicago Teachers Union outlining the tentative agreement that they have reached with Chicago Public Schools. It includes greater investments in sports and art, teacher raises, limited class sizes, more bilingual educators, prep time for educators as well, and more librarians in schools, as you just heard them discuss here. Still ahead, Mayor Brandon Johnson is going to be taking questions from reporters at City Hall at 10 a.m.